everyone, this is Danielle from empoweredreadings.com. I wanted to switch it up a little bit with card reading topics. I want to do card reading. It might be a bit quick. I'm not really sure what to expect. Focused around just giving you some words of encouragement, telling you what good job you've been doing, because I see so many people who are too hard on themselves or feel a little bit like they're not doing enough or haven't done enough or aren't being good enough. There's just so many things like that I've heard a lot of lately. A card reading focused on just good words, like good things that your angels and your guides want you to know, and just kind of a reminder that it's not always about doing lots of work. Sometimes there are just messages saying, hey, you're doing great. We just want you to know how great you are, and I'm hoping those come out in this reading. That was the intentions that I was setting. And I was also just going to say, if there's any little suggestions on how to help you feel more secure or good in your life, I was open to those coming through too, but mainly just want this to be a powerhouse of good things for you coming through. With that in mind, I will let those who know how to pick their piles to go ahead and do so. If you don't know how to, I'll give you an explanation right now. So what I get people to do is take 4 deep breaths to ground themselves, and you do it by breathing in air down through your nose, out through your mouth. And you do this 4 times just to make sure that you're really getting enough oxygen and it's circulating through your body. And this helps with readings resonating with you, helping you pick the pile that's going to be the most accurate for you. It's just really good. It's really good to be grounded. Okay, more in tune with yourself, more in connection with yourself. And then from there, you're gonna look at each pile. Maybe a color will jump out at you right away, or it could be the item on them. So I chose seashells for this card reading. And you can also pick by looking at the number associated with the pile. So in the timestamps, there might be a number that stands out to you that just is really catching your eye. You can also do it that way. All right, and you're also going to ask yourself the question, like, which pile has the message for me? Which one does my angelic team or my guides want me to pick? And if there isn't a pile that's catching your eye, don't sweat it. Sometimes there just isn't a pile for you. Go ahead and look at a different pick a card reading. There will for sure be one out there for you. There'll be multiple ones out there for you, but it just might not be in this one. So do just trust that if you're not feeling drawn to anything. And then sometimes I even find that a card reading, because it is a general card reading, it could just be one message or 2 sentences that you needed to hear, and the rest might not be for you. So you really just have to trust your intuition. So I really recommend being grounded when you're online looking at things like this. Okay, so I'm gonna give you time now to take your 4 deep breaths and then pick your piles. Great. Hope you're doing okay today, pile 1. We will get right into it and see what you got. The thing that's catching my eye right away is the dolphins in this card. I was just looking them up for a future post for my Instagram channel, and is really a good summary of what is everything that's happening here. About, it says, slowing down, finding balance, healer, speaking with yourself with more love, facing your fears, and that everything's working out for you when you're confident in yourself. So really, what I'm trying to say is that all these cards are here, and the dolphin meaning that I was just looking into was explaining that dolphin energy means that this person is a healer. They bring light into the world. Anytime they do anything, and they're doing it when they're in balance and they're feeling good, they're doing remarkable things around them. They change people's lives just by running into someone at a grocery store. Something about these people's impacts brings so much light. It shifts things in people, whether it's your words, just your energy. Who you are as a person shifts the energies of others around you, and that's so awesome. When I saw the balance card, it's very interesting because when I was reading the thing about the dolphin, I saw the balanced version and the unbalanced version, and the balanced version is that beautiful, confident, is just happy and true and not feeling tired or overstimulated. And what I'm seeing from this is they're like, okay, if you're starting to find that right now or lately you've been falling out of balance, it would look like not being confident in yourself, not being sure if you're making a difference, underestimating your abilities, then here you go. You're just tired, you're a little out of whack. You should go get an energy healing because everything else is looking good. Just slow down a little bit. You're so deserving of goodness, of people helping you, of extra support, of these crazy ways the universe is going to bring in help for you for your situations, your work practice, whatever it is. I feel like it is in some form of service or healing that you bring into people's lives. The speech that I'm getting here is your angels are wanting you to, if you do Reiki, to remember to do some Reiki treatments on yourself. You could really use that extra energy right now. You do so much for others and you're doing really great. You do need to take care of yourself. There is a little bit of I don't know if you're currently in this block, but I can see that if you keep going down this path, you might get a little out of balance, and then you're going to get in that state of not feeling confident and not seeing yourself as this great healer, this great person, this human that brings in so much love and light into people's lives. So just a reminder, if you do any kind of energy work, or you don't even have to be a Reiki practitioner to send yourself Reiki, you can look into that a little bit more. I know some people are going to dispute that, but we all have a connection to the universal energy, and that's essentially what Reiki energy is channeling in. So you can do that for yourself if you feel called to, of course. You never have to do anything. You always do what resonates with you. They do want to make sure that you're paying attention to the words you're using around yourself. I'm in a state where you might keep saying some words that could be limiting the things you could have or bring in. And because I feel like you guys are actually really great manifestors, you have to be a little more careful with the words, the terminology you use, because the universe takes it and goes with it pretty quick. It's a great thing. It's an amazing thing. So these two cards here, it says, speak the language of love. Loving words have the power to change lives, including your own. And whether you have someone in your life or not, act as if they are with you, so you will always consider them. What I'm really getting here is trying to manifest in or call in a higher conscious relationship or partner, or even maybe friendships. But I think for this pile, it's partnerships that you're wanting. It could be that you're just wanting the person that you're dating to kind of step up, come into a healthier version of themselves. And I see this being a really great way for you to watch the words or the language you're using, because I see how great this relationship has the potential to be or to come in and become. It's just they're saying, here's a suggestion. Make sure you're watching the words you're using so you're not limiting what it could be. You're not saying, oh, they always do this, they never do that. Or if you're trying to call in a partner, that you're not saying things like, I never pick the right guys, I attract all the wrong people. Just watch your language around that, because I feeling like you're doing a lot of great stuff, but they're just wanting to make sure that you fine tune that a little bit. If you find yourself saying a negative thing, just try to shift it. Say, oh, I'm just kidding. I take that back. I'm getting better. I pick the right people now. I see red flags now in relationships. Words like that. It's okay to make the mistake of saying it because it's a habit, but change it. Make the conscious decision to change it, and it's going to have a great impact. This is such a beautiful card. It seems really great. So that's there. And I also, just because I like all the fairies and the butterflies in it, and the dragon means luck and abundance is coming your way. So feel really good about the relationship you're trying to bring in, or the higher consciousness you're trying to bring into that relationship. Seems good. Just, they're saying watch the words, but I think you're gonna get there just fine. The slow down, sensory overload card, and balance, deservingness. If you haven't noticed all of these cards happening here, they're all speaking around the same thing, making sure you know that you're deserving of taking a break, of spending time for yourself and self-love, because you are so worth it, and finding that balance is really going to be helpful. It's going to be okay. I see that some of you are scared about taking a break and not making enough money, or there is some beliefs around money. I think that comes from your upbringing, where people said you always have to hustle or you have to work really hard, and they're saying it's okay to slow down and face this fear and start to release it, because the universe is really working with you here to bring in abundance. Like this energy work card, the girl is just surrounded by gold, which just really means high divine protection. That's really awesome to see in your cards. I'm not saying for some of you that you should just quit your jobs and not work again, but they're just saying the angels are saying that you can maybe push yourself a little too hard and be a little too worried about taking a break. Or I also think sometimes you guys like to just help one more person. You're like, it doesn't bother me too much to help one more person, but in the end it can be a little bit exhausting. So to avoid burnout, don't do too much too fast. Going slower lets you appreciate the miracles of the moment and the richness of your life. So that's a really great card to get too. Like I said, I don't know if you're actually in this state yet, but they're just saying if you go too far too quick, you work really hard, you're trying to help people with all this stuff, which is very kind of you, but it's gonna in the end slow you down and burn you out, and then you'll have to spend all that time recovering. So just to avoid that, try slowing down a little bit now and taking time for yourself. I do want to read this financial fear card. It says, when you are honest with yourself about fears of success or failure, they can no longer control you. Be free of hidden fears by exposing them to the light of awareness, and you'll realize that you, in fact, have nothing to fear, and that every successful person has struggled and released their self-doubts. So a little bit of shining a light on maybe why you feel like you need to work a lot. So that could be really good to know about yourself, so that you know that that is the true reason why you might be pushing yourself so hard, is this limiting belief here. And then I do really like this card too. I've never actually had it come out in a card reading before. It says things are working out in your favor. In what ways are you abundant right now? So this is definitely another manifestation card where they're saying things are working great for you. Just make sure you're using some really good positive language towards it, and that's just going to keep encouraging the goodness to come in, the abundance to come in, these great people to come in, the right clients for you to come in. And make sure you're focusing on the gratitude. just because it keeps you in that abundance mindset. And it doesn't mean you can't have a bad day and acknowledge it. That's not at all. That's a misconception that happens sometimes. But they're just saying, if you find yourself being like, this never works, or I had another issue, this always happens to me, shift to the gratitude, what has gone right. Focus on the right things. And then instead of being so focused on not wanting bad things to happen, see how good things do happen and keep going that way. Okay, and stop sensory overload. If too much is coming at you too fast, decrease your stimulation level, take a break from people, dim the lights, and savor quietude. I think this is really good because I do feel like there's just so many cards around. So it's good to have that quiet time for yourself. I do see that there's a lot of encouragement to take that time to hang out with yourself and do the things that you like. And I really do think it's so important to do this energy healing for yourself. I think you guys do some kind of energy work, maybe just read cards, anything like that. It'd be really good to do for yourself because I feel that it is healing. Like, you're a very healing person, and that when you do it for yourself, you are also receiving that healing from yourself. So that's really cool to see that. These two cards, so deservingness is about opening up to receiving. I have said that a few times. And when I see the balance, I see that you guys kind of try to take on the task on your own. And I feel like if we were doing like a huddle with the angelic team about going to do an action plan right now, they would say, okay, we want you to ask that person to take care of that work piece, and that person over there is gonna organize the paperwork, and this person here is gonna cook the meals for tonight, and let's go. I feel like that's what they want to see from you, is they want to see you splitting up the load. And I feel like it's in your personal life and in your work life. I just see that you carry a lot of the weight, and it doesn't feel very good. But the only way to change that is to start, start like setting that weight down and allowing other people to help you carry it or help you watch it. And I know that can always be easier said than done. I feel like this pile's worried that maybe someone won't do it as good, or it'll be harder for someone else to do. But the thing is the more they do it, soon they'll learn how to do it like you did. You didn't start off 100% great, and they're just needing the opportunity to build that skill. And then they just want you to make sure that you're paying attention to your dreams and what you want for yourself, staying true to your heart center, like your heart's wishes and dreams, not just the thoughts that go on in our heads. And otherwise, you think you're going to be just headed in the right direction. You have a lot of good things that are behind the scenes working itself out. You do really great stuff with manifestation work. You definitely do manifest things in very strong. Just watch the wordings. Even in your thoughts, try to watch how you describe things that you want to come in. And don't forget that you are such great people, and you don't have to do everything on your own. You'll be stronger, you'll be better to keep helping more people if you're not burnt out, if there's balance in your own life, all your needs are being met. Okay, I think that's all I have for you guys. It was a really quick one. I don't know if I felt like a pep talk, but no, I wasn't really sure what a pep talk would sound like. So here we go. Here we have it. This is all I got for you guys. Hello, pile 2. Let's get into it. Okay, pile 2. There's a lot of purple in your guys' cards here. And thing that's standing out to me right away is these two cards here about honesty is essential and be supportive. Honestly, there's a few other cards here that I'm getting a similar message from, but I feel like what your angels and your guides really want to see more of for you is being more truly yourself. I feel like sometimes you guys might get caught up in playing like the dating games, if that makes sense, where one seems a bit interested but never truly invests in it or never really shows their cards, all their cards, and it could be in a relationship that's new, or maybe you never really have relationships. Lots of very brief encounters. Like, I feel like you're like the Tinder master. Or it could be that even in the relationship, even though it's long term, you may not have been so honest. You might be an avoidant attachment style, see, where you could go very doting and being a great, very romantic person, and then I think sometimes you just pull back for some reason. And I think it comes from a limiting belief or fear that you aren't good enough, or that there's some kind of shame that you're holding in, and this is coming out in these relationships, and you wear this mask often. And why this is coming up in this pep talk reading is because your guides, they see you for your whole self, and I just see that they see excuse me they see how good you are. They see how much you're deserving of, and I feel like they've been trying to communicate this to you for a while now, where they're always trying to give you messages. But I think these limiting beliefs have you a little bit blocked off to hearing that, and they really are just trying. I feel like they just want you to know that you're so great and you never did anything bad or anything to worth being guilty or shameful of. You're a very gifted person. You came through a hard time in your life, but you're out of that now. You're a grown individual who is capable of doing so much good. So it's just really time to, I want to say, shift the story. Instead of like these things having happened to you, to shift it to you as the conqueror, the survivor, the one who proved them all wrong, who takes control of their life. And I almost want to say, like, whatever it is that happened to you, you almost prove to them that they didn't break you, that they're wrong. You are able to have these healthy, beautiful, loving relationships, because I see that these people are really drawn to you. Other people, it could be this person in your relationship, it could be other people, they're always drawn to you because you have a really great soul, but you don't let them in and see the true you. I think that's when you get a little bit scared, and it comes from these limiting beliefs. The angels are just wanting to see this all done with because you are so deserving of it. They want to see you happier, and they really want to see you make yourself a priority. You think you guys have really good intuition, but you don't always listen to it. I think it's because of these things coming up. So their little advice here is focus on your blessings rather than dwelling on adversity. So traumas that you've faced or unfortunate circumstances that have happened to you. Pause and give thanks for your gifts, such as your sensitivity, intuition, health, friendship, or family. And I like to say intuition here because I really think you guys have strong intuition. But it's, for some reason, you're blocking it out. I do feel like this group could be largely a masculine energy group, where there was a lot of societal pressures on top of all these adversities that you've been through that might have made you feel like you shouldn't trust your feelings or go off of your feelings. But it really seems like time to go. Like, let's get at this. Take off your mask, start showing the true you. They're really giving you a lot of great steps on how to start dealing with overcoming limiting beliefs, like identifying your emotional triggers. We absorb the emotions of others that remains unhealed in ourselves. Notice your triggers, such as anger and fear, and gently begin to heal them. So letting go of guilt is another one. When you allow your light to shine brightly, you inspire others. Forgive yourself for what you think you've done or not done. Trust that God loves you unconditionally for who you are. Learn and grow from past mistakes instead of berating yourself for them. It might seem easier said than done, but these are actually all some of the first steps you do to identifying some limiting beliefs. I think you guys should even maybe look up common limiting beliefs online and see if any of them resonate with you, because they're all things that are untrue, but we were told or cemented within us that are true. And I think once you start doing that, these two cards are going to come into play about releasing shame or guilt and recognizing what kind of situations come up that trigger these emotions. And I just see it really turning your life around. Like, if you've been having relationships with others and you feel like they never go that deep or they never last that long, I think that's going to change instantly. I think you're going to have a lot more balance in your life. You're going to feel more in control of yourself. And I feel like this pile really wants that. They want control over things. But because you don't have control over these triggers and these limiting beliefs, you feel out of control in other aspects. And so you try to control these other things that you can. But the only way to really do this is to go within and find these triggers and find these limiting beliefs, so that you aren't being kind of overrun by these things. When people say something, all of a sudden you're angry or defensive. It's going to really help with that. I like it says exercising is really good for this group. I think it's meditative. I think if you guys might do kickboxing or running, I think something about that makes you feel lighter. It's almost like an emotional cleansing for you, and I think you should stick with that. It seems really good. If you don't do those things, maybe consider doing some kind of physical activity that helps release those stuck emotions, and I feel like it'll just help you get out some of the emotions I think you had to suppress when you were younger. Let's see, these two cards really keep standing out to me too, because I really feel that you guys are very emotional, very sensitive people, and sometimes emotional is seen as bad, but it just means that you're very attuned with the energies around you and your own, and that's actually really great. It means you're great manifestors when you want to be, and that's really awesome to see. So here it says there's strength in doing nothing. Wait. And I find it funny because you saw probably this time to go card, but I think it's saying you're trying to control things that you can't really control, but it's time to start working on the things you do have control of, like doing your deeper inner child work, doing your limiting belief work. And here I think it's like you trying to control maybe how people see you, perceive you, their emotional reactions, how a situation's going to pan out, things like that. That's where it's calling for you to start to release control of. Always easier said than done, and they understand that, but they're just saying this is some suggestions for you guys. And it says, when peace is your priority, negativity cannot exist. How can you see through the eyes of source energy and prioritize your inner peace? So I think they would really love for you guys to consider meditation. I know some people really don't like the idea of sitting down and having to do that, but I would recommend maybe doing some guided meditations to start with and see how you feel about it. If you feel more aligned, attuned with yourself, more in control of your emotions throughout the day, and I don't mean in control of them as in you shouldn't be having them, but just in a sense that these emotional triggers, flooding, which is when you're emotions are very strong and overwhelming, usually coming from being triggered or reminding you of a past event being triggered within you. So you can't control that. It's or you go, hey, I just need a second. I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now or really angry right now, and I don't want to say anything that I don't believe or that is hurtful, so I'm gonna come back in 20 minutes and talk to you. Stuff like that is the stuff that you can control, but I don't remember what I was saying about that. Okay, I'm really hoping I'm not trying to think. This came up in a pep talk, so I almost feel like this is something that you've been thinking about a lot. You might already know all this stuff, and the reason why it's coming up could be because your spiritual team is like, you've been thinking about this, go for it, do it, because you're so right. Your intuition is amazing. You guys are great manifestors. You have this potential for so much good, and I feel like you on a soul level want to overcome adversity that you've lived through. You want to be a success story. You want to be that person who says, look at me, I made it out of this, and I'm doing great. I'm doing more than great. I'm doing amazing. And this is what they want for you too. So here's kind of like a little plan or some advice. Like I said, only ever take what resonates because this is a general card reading, but this seems like actually some really good advice on first steps and bringing things into your awareness. I'm not sure if I actually read these, so I'm just going to say, it says, honesty is essential. Speak with love and truth. Make a genuine effort to show you care and be supportive. Yeah, I think I read the other ones. So, did I read this? We absorb the emotions of others that remain unhealed in ourselves. I did. Okay, perfect. It's like that card feels so powerful. I also didn't know this card was in the deck. It's interesting. And the first pile, I got cards I've never pulled from the deck pile. So these are definitely messages that need to come out. I'm just hoping I'm conveying them in a way that makes sense. But yeah, very powerful card here. So much awareness involved in this. And it's not easy. It's really hard to do the work, and it's easier to ignore it. But I think this pile here, you are ready for change. You're wanting change. You're really wanting deeper connections, and that's possible for you, and you are deserving of it. I think there's some fear around that. You are good enough. You're deserving of it. Your emotions and your sensitivities to the energies and the people around you is a gift. And it isn't something to be ashamed of. It's something that a lot of us have forgotten the importance of. Your ability to be empathic, to feel other people's emotions, and to be sensitive to energies around you is a gift. And don't forget that. I feel like there is some things said to you that were not right and came from other people who were too scared to feel those emotions. So it's definitely the harder route. To feel things, to be okay and strong enough and vulnerable enough to cry takes a lot of power. So you just remember that. It's not in any way weak. It's quite hard and brave thing to do. All right, that's all I got for you guys. Hope you have a good week. Okay, pile 3. Let's get into it. I've had some interesting readings so far, so I feel like these are going to be more suggestive cards since that's what the other piles have been, so now I know that. Pile 3, the card that was brought immediately to my attention is this one here. It says, let your past go. The burden of carrying your past around has made you wary, dear one. It's time to set this burden down. Keep only the lessons and the love, and leave everything else behind. You don't want it or need it, and it's now gone. And I really like this card. It's right beside, appreciate this moment and slow down. And then not getting stuck on your mistakes. So it's telling me that this pile, you guys might have some problems with, or some struggles right now around feeling like you are good enough. I feel like you might have some perfectionist tendencies, which really just come from a survival tactic when you're younger, needing to feel like you had to be an over accomplisher, had to make sure everything was perfect and done right as a survival technique. And I think this is where it's saying it's time to see that for what it is. It was a past habit that got you where you are now, kept you safe when you were young, but now it's not serving you. I feel like you can get so stressed, you stay up at night, your mind can go racing sometimes. Maybe you're 5 steps ahead in a conversation and you can't always even hear what the person has to say that is sitting next to you, and you're not doing it intentionally. I think it's really just become this defense from your upbringing. I also feel like some people in this pile might just have been told they might have ADHD, but I really think for you guys it was a learned habit that came from a defense mechanism from your childhood. From whatever reason, maybe you felt like you only got attention or only got love and support when you were doing things perfectly, when you were like a shiny, pretty object for someone to be proud of. Because you cannot make a mistake. There are infinite possibilities available to you. Where is your heart guiding you? You can't make a wrong decision because there is no wrong or right. There's just our perception of that. And that all comes from whatever we believe. So, whatever limiting beliefs, whatever pressures people around us have put on us as being the right or wrong decision, is what makes us think that we can pick up the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. But it's saying your soul has so much growth, so much learning to do. If you just go within yourself and ask, what do you want to experience in this life? What do you want this life to feel like for you? Do you want it to feel stressful? Do you want it to feel light and loving and good and peaceful and supportive? Then go in that direction. If you make decisions by going to that heart space, not that mind space, that heart space, and saying, I want this feeling. How can I get it? What thing can I do that makes me feel this feeling as well? And making decisions based off of that from a heart-centered place. But to not blame yourself from having had this old way of being of surviving. It's really just come from an old way, an old tactic that a younger version of yourself, a child version of yourself, found to survive or to make it through its childhood with the least amount of friction and conflict. So don't be upset about that. You didn't do anything wrong, but now you're in a place where you can let go of that, start to slow down, and really just try to be in the moment. When someone's talking to you and you're trying to memorize the thing you're going to say so you don't forget it, maybe just be okay with that thought going. It's important to just hear everything that person is saying, and maybe the more words they give you, the more explanation they give you. It's just being okay with just being right then and not a few steps ahead all the time. It says, things are not the way they seem. You're only trapped by your own illusion. What freedom do you seek? So this actually is funny. It's very about heart-centered space again, where it's telling me that it could be really hard to say this, but I feel like for this pile, everything you believe to be wrong or right or good or bad is really just what your peers and the people around you have created. There's like to say want to be a janitor. Maybe some people love cleaning. I know some people who find it the most stress-free thing to do is cleaning. And maybe having that job isn't the worst job in the world, but we as a society have said that that's a horrible job. But I don't know, I do have friends who love cleaning. So I just think that's not like the exact situation, but I think they're saying to maybe question what you believe to be true, because I think you're in a time in your life where your guides really want to see you ask yourself, is this what I believe, or is this the belief that's been put on me by someone else? And that's a really powerful time, because it just leads to more self-discovery, to what's truly in your heart, what you truly have learned for yourself, what really means anything to you. And on another note, it was really cool how you got the power of prayer and asked for what your needs to be met right beside each other from the same deck. And it's just reminding you that the universe is here to support you and work with you. If you're having a hard time, you have to give angels permission or your guides permission to help you, because they can't counteract free will. So if you're saying you want something bad to happen to someone, that's not good. But if you're saying, oh, I would really like help with my finances right now because I'm struggling, or I've had a hard time with my finances, angels, I'm letting you help me. That's a better phrasing. Sorry, I shouldn't have said the first one. Stuff like that's okay. So I'll actually read these cards because they'll probably use better language. It says, give this situation to God for uplifting and healing, and be open to miracles. Heaven's unlimited resources, love, and answers are awaiting your prayers. Be sure to act upon the divine guidance God gives you in response to your prayers. And then it's followed by the card that says, God and the angels can come to your aid only if you make a free will choice to be helped. And it begins with asking. Doesn't matter how you ask God for help or his angels, but only that you do so. The same holds true with clearly asking other people to assist you. So those are really great cards. They're just saying, if we don't ever ask for help, people can't be mind readers. And even though we might have, some of us, been raised in families where they wanted us to be mind readers and expected us to be, it's not realistic, because people have different minds. They have different families. They grew up differently. If you say you're fine, you don't want help, they're going to trust you on that. If they don't trust you on that, that means they don't trust you. So it's good if they're like, okay, well, I'm glad you're okay. And they're going to trust you because they have no reason to think you're not going to express your needs or say the things you want, and they want you to be honest with them and ask for help if you need it, because they will more than likely be grateful to give it to you. I see, energize yourself with the weather, enjoy the warm sunshine, the wind in the trees, the cleansing rain or the clarity after a snowstorm. This will increase your aliveness. So going outside is really great for grounding us and recentering us in our body. Groundingness is really good for helping with overthinking and thinking too far ahead, or cycling back in our past, getting stuck in those thought loops. If you've ever noticed yourself do that, if you're going like, oh, this happened to me, this is what happened, and you're literally like cycling through it again and again, just remembering something again and again, it's like cycling. Or it is essentially the same thing. So if you do that, maybe go outside, clear your head. This pile also got another suggestion for grounding. So this is why I think it's really important for this pile, is taking baths or being near oceans, drinking more water. Water is incredibly grounding. It's also cleansing. So if you can have an Epsom salt bath once a week, that would be amazing. It'd be grounding for you and energetically clearing. And it's also good for you on a physical level. And that's just amazing. So that's suggestions there. It literally says to remove stress. And then it says, when you feel like you don't fit into this world, remember that you're here to help create a better one. Your tender heart is a treasure. That is your part of your purpose. It's just to be here to help create a better world. Doesn't mean you have to do it all on your own, and you're not allowed to, say something and have someone accidentally take it the wrong way. That's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. I really want to suggest that this pile looks into narcissistic people, if you haven't. If you like the narcissistic family, and I feel like there's a lot of energy here that feels similar to those who have coped with growing up with a type of narcissist where they were responsible for their parents' emotions. That's not what this card reading is supposed to be largely about, so I'm just going to mention that for some of you who might resonate with it. But I do see a lot of coping strategies that children of narcissistic parents or emotionally unavailable parent show. So it could resonate with some of you, and it could help. Friendships. This is also why I think there could be a little bit of a narcissistic upbringing. It is saying that you need some healing around your friendships. So I do think sometimes you might attract in people who don't appreciate you fully, or that you have a hard time trusting people because of past relationships with people in general. And I think this is just here to highlight that it's important to find healthy, supportive people, and it's okay to trust them. That not everyone's going to burn you out or not respect your boundaries or anything like that. There are people out there who won't do it, but you also have to learn how to set boundaries. And I do think this is another thing this pile needs to hear. But like I said, it is a general reading, so only take what resonates. I also want to say, please go and look up the angelic meaning of the number 3. You have a 3 here, you have a 33 here, and then 9. I just think 9 is, one of the multiplications of 3. So that could have a really important message for you guys. Yeah, that's all I have for you. I know they're kind of weird pep talks. I asked for them, and I feel like I kind of just got a lot of suggestions, a quick view on what's happening, and suggestions for people. So maybe that is what a pep talk is, but I'm not totally sure. I was kind of expecting just like lots of positive messages, but there's nothing saying you're doing anything bad, but there's just so many suggestions on healing work. So I hope that helps, that resonated, that was something that you needed. I'm not sure. Let me know. Okay, you guys have a good one, and I'll see you next week.